Right, the bill was taken through Parliament last month, and now it is waiting commencement. The reason why it hasn't been commenced yet is because there are a few technical matters that need to be addressed before it is commenced. The moment that the Act is commenced, every single government project will have to go through the DPC process.
So can you tell us any of the projects that will be going through the DPC process, such as, for example, whether Hassan Centenary Terraces will be included?
Well, very much depends on the commencement date, because every single department works independently in that respect with their own projects. What will happen is that they will be published on the website in the agenda for the DPC, and that is where the public will know what projects will be going through DPC following the commencement of the Act.
So you're not able to tell us right now?
No, it's impossible to tell because there are technical issues that we have to sort out before we can give way to commencing the Act.
Can you give us a time frame for when the Act will come into effect, and, for example, whether this will be before the next election?
Now, I wouldn't like to say when it will be, but it won't. The time frame should be short. We took the bill to Parliament last month. It was important that we had that through Parliament. There are issues with the old Town Planning Act of 1999. It was an archaic, it was an old law that needed to be corrected. Many things have been corrected, things that made it difficult for the Town Planning Department to be able to do the work that they need to carry out, and led to a lot of confusion. So it is important that the Act comes into effect. It lays out exactly what is necessary, things that the government have already been doing, like, for example, public meetings of the DPC. That's something which is enshrined in the Act now, just as, for example, tribunals for appeals will also now be made public. But it is very important that the Act is commenced when it is technically possible to do so.
This Act has been years in the making. The 2011 GSLP Liberals manifesto said government projects would go through the DPC process, and the command paper for this Act came out in 2015. What's the reason for the delay for an Act that largely sets out what the DPC has already been doing?
Well, not only does it set out what the DPC already does, it sets out new things that need to be done. It's a very extensive Act. It needs to be done correctly, and it's done. I mean, whether it's taken too long or otherwise, the command paper was published in 2015, and it's taken some time after that. But the most important thing is that the Act is there now, subject to commencement, and it is an important piece of legislation which enshrines what this government is all about, which is transparency. I mean, the DPC process and the process of planning has never been so transparent before, and just because the Act has not been commenced, or the bill was not taken to Parliament, does not mean that the government has not been, living by its commitments, which is transparency. The moment that we took office, it was a short time afterwards, the DPC was already for the public, within public scrutiny. That is what is important. So we are leading by example, and what this does is it commits, this government and any future government to keeping the process transparent, and that is exactly what this government is all about.
Doesn't this mean the government has been able to pass multiple large-scale projects without the need for DPC approval, such as the new schools, the Lathbury Sports Complex and the Europa Point University accommodation?
Yes, well, this is something which, until the bill did not go to Parliament, obviously there are projects that need to go on, and we have manifesto commitments, and these manifesto commitments we seek the mandate of the electorate for building new schools, and people expect new schools, and this is something which we need to move on with. Otherwise, we fail in our manifesto commitments just because we haven't got the bill or the Act. So it is important that we proceed with the aims of this government, but I think it's extremely important, and it's there for everyone to see that this government is about transparency. And although the Act, which has now been taken to Parliament, this is the way we've been doing things even before it was taken to Parliament.